Welcome back to our channel, the fastest, most complete update of the hottest developments and unpredictable twists from the young and the restless. Here, it's not just simple news, but sharp analysis, crazy but logical predictions, and fascinating fictional stories that help you delve deeper into the world full of intrigue and tragedy of the characters you love. Join me in a painful but equally horrifying story that awaits the Abbott family. On a rainy afternoon in Genoa City, disaster suddenly strikes when Diane gets into a terrible car accident on her way home. Her car loses control, crashes into the curb, and crashes into an old tree on the side of the road. Despite timely emergency care, Diane is still in critical condition, bleeding profusely, and doctors are fighting tirelessly to keep her alive. The news quickly spread, causing the whole city to be filled with anxiety, especially those closest to her. Jack received the call while he was at the office, feeling as if his heart was so heavy that he could not breathe. He rushed to the hospital, his heart filled with indescribable fear. Kyle also refused all important meetings, putting his work aside to be with the mother he always respected and loved. For a long time, Diane was not only Kyle's mother but also his friend and strong spiritual advisor, and now her fragile life made him feel like his whole world was collapsing. In the intensive care room, the atmosphere was tense. The doctors constantly discussed Diane's condition. Sometimes the prognosis was bad, sometimes there was a small hope. Every sound of the ventilator, every heartbeat on the screen was like a countdown clock to her life. Jack sat motionless by the hospital bed, his red eyes looking at Diane lying still, motionless, in a pure white hospital gown, her face tired but still exuding the resilience he once knew. At this moment, Kyle was like a man shouldering all responsibilities, not allowing himself to fall. He was determined not to leave the hospital, day and night watching over Diane's every little change. But in his heart, a deep pain gradually spread. Not only because of his mother's critical condition, but also because of the unrevealed secrets that Diane had always kept hidden that could explode right now. Because, before the accident, Diane had shown unusual signs, secret calls and secret meetings with outsiders. Someone in the dark seemed to not want her to survive, or at least did not want her to continue hiding shocking secrets that could change the game in Genoa City. Jack and Kyle began to suspect that this accident was not simply an accident, but could be a carefully calculated plot. Outside the hospital room, Chelsea and Phyllis could not hide their worries. Although they had many conflicts with Diane in the past, when facing the boundary of life and death, all personal hatred gave way to anxiety, praying that she could wake up. Phyllis felt especially tormented, because before that she and Diane had a big argument that made their relationship even more tense. Now, in this moment, all hatred seemed like small scars before the power of life and death. On a cold evening, when everyone was waiting for the final test results, a phone call suddenly came to Jack. The caller did not reveal his identity but carried a serious warning: Diane is not just in an accident, she is being targeted. There are forces in the dark trying to destroy her. Be careful. That sentence was like a punch in the stomach for Jack, making him realize that things could be much more complicated than he thought. Kyle, after hearing the news, could not sit still. He began to investigate. Every little clue was filtered by him to find out who was behind this incident. The names that seemed to have been safe were gradually dragged into the vortex of bloody struggle, from business rivals to old enemies who were always looking for revenge. But the most surprising thing was that the people that Diane once trusted, who might be hiding in the dark, were traitors. Faced with the dire situation, Jack and Kyle decided to form a temporary alliance with Victor, who was originally their opponent. They knew that without this cooperation, Diane might not have a chance to survive. Despite the tension, all three men were aware that Diane's life was more important than any personal disputes. Meanwhile, Diane in a coma seems to be not only physically but also mentally fighting a fierce battle. In her hazy dreams, vague images and strange figures continuously appear, making her feel confused and scared. It seems that Diane's mind is trying to warn her about something very big, a secret that she had not had time to reveal before the accident happened. Relatives and friends standing outside the hospital corridor begin to realize that this accident is not just a simple personal tragedy. It is the beginning of a chain of events filled with intrigue, betrayal, and power struggles. If Diane does not overcome this critical condition, Genoa City will lose a strong woman, but the secrets she carries may be exposed in the most brutal way. And in the midst of all this, a new figure emerges, a shadowy figure from Diane's past who seems to have been watching and waiting for a chance to exact revenge. This figure not only wants to destroy Diane, but also to plunge all of her loved ones into chaos. The appearance of this figure not only adds to the drama, but also raises big questions about the dark secrets that Diane has tried to hide for so many years. Jack and Kyle now not only have to face the pain of possible loss, but also have to fight to protect their family. To keep the terrible secrets from being revealed, because if they are discovered, none of them will be safe. As time passes by hour, minute by minute in the intensive care unit, everyone prays that Diane will wake up to continue fighting not only for life but for the truth. This is just the beginning of a whirlwind journey where love, betrayal, power and secrets will combine into a fierce storm that sweeps through Genoa City. Everyone is preparing for a never-ending war, in which Diane is at the center of all the turmoil, and her survival will determine the future of all. If you find this article interesting and want to continue following the latest, dramatic episodes of The Young and the Restless, click subscribe to the channel today so you don't miss any developments. We will always accompany